There's an ancient idea, older than any culture, older even than language, that life is fundamentally suffering. And if you've lived for more than 5 minutes, you know it to be true. Illness, betrayal, uncertainty, death. They're not exceptions. They're the rule. They're like the rule. That's a stir. But that's not the end of the story, because there's something deeper. There's a whisper that echoes in your soul when you confront that suffering directly, not with bitterness or cynicism, but with courage. That whisper is meaning, and it's meaning that redeems suffering. It's meaning that transforms the unbearable into the worthwhile. I mean, now people will ask, how can I trust the universe when everything around me is chaotic and fragile and falling apart? And my answer is, you don't trust because things are easy. You trust because that's what the alternative costs. To mistrust the universe is to believe that chaos reigns absolutely, that malevolence is embedded in the structure of being. And if you believe that long enough, you'll become bitter, vengeful, nihilistic, and you'll destroy yourself and others. So, our trust is not some sentimental wish. It is a discipline. It's a decision to say, I will act as if the world contains more order than I can see. I will speak as if truth matters. I will stand as though my actions echo into eternity. That is not naivety. That's heroism. You see, people often wait for life to give them something before they commit. They say, Elvis, I'll be responsible when I feel ready. I'll act when I know it'll work. I'll take a step forward when I'm sure the path is clear, consult. But it doesn't work that way. The universe doesn't respond to entitlement. The moment you decide to shoulder your burden, to clean your room, to speak the truth, to carry the damn weight, the world begins to shift, subtly at first, then profoundly. It's as if being itself leans in your direction, not because it owes you anything, but because you earned its attention. That means your first duty is to align yourself with truth, however brutal, however complex. Because truth is reality. You don't get to shape the world by fantasy. You shape it by seeing clearly and speaking carefully. When you orient yourself toward what's real, even when it's painful, you set your life on a foundation that cannot be shaken. The lies will collapse, the illusions will fall, but the truth will remain. And so what do? You stand up. You bear the heaviest load you can carry, not because it's easy, but because it gives your life weight and purpose. You speak not with arrogance, but with precision and courage. You take one step forward, just one, and then another and another. You don't wait for the universe to hand you a map. You walk into the forest where it's darkest, where no one else has gone, and you make the path by walking. That's how you trust the universe. You don't passively hope for miracles. You become worthy of them. You become the kind of person that chaos fears, the kind of person that order rewards. The kind of person who, in the face of suffering, can still say, there is meaning here. There is beauty. And I will serve it. Da pli sporek sožerkatrab straight. So go stand up straight, face the unknown, and act as though every word and every step matters. Because they do. There's an ancient idea, older than civilization, older even than our gods, that life is suffering. And it's not a metaphor. It's not an abstraction reserved for philosophers in ivory towers. It's real, concrete, immediate. The kind of thing that visits you at 3 in the morning. When you wake up with your chest tight and your mind racing. When someone you love is sick and there's nothing you can do, and there's nothing you can do. When the job you gave your soul to vanishes in a moment. When betrayal guts you from the inside out. Suffering isn't rare. It's the ground beneath your feet. It's the air you breathe the moment you're old enough to understand what no really means. Now, here's the brutal truth. There is no final fix for that. No utopia. No ideological system. No amount of wealth, fame, sex, or power can inoculate you against the vulnerability that comes with simply being. The Buddhists call it dukkha. The Christians speak of the cross. The Stoics taught preparation for catastrophe. Every tradition worth its salt has wrestled with this reality. Life hurts, and this is essential. It's not only suffering, because something astonishing happens when you face that suffering willingly, when you confront it with your eyes open, instead of shrinking away from it or numbing yourself to it. That something is meaning, not pleasure, not comfort. Meaning, and meaning is different. Meaning is what you find when you pick up responsibility voluntarily. When you see that the world is broken and you decide, I'll carry a piece of that burden no matter how small. Quo doubt. I remember speaking with a young man once, utterly defeated, his life in shambles. No ambition, no direction. He told me everything was pointless, that nothing he did mattered. And I said, well, that's a hell of a claim. Let's test it. Go home tonight, clean your room. Not for me, not because I told you, but as an act of rebellion against chaos. He laughed at first. But the next week he came back changed. Not completely. This isn't a fairy tale. But there was something in his eyes, a flicker, a sense that he could begin, that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't powerless after all. That's what meaning does. It doesn't make life easy. It makes it worth the difficulty. It's not a sedative. It's a challenge. Meaning says, this will hurt, and it matters that you do it anyway. And that's the key distinction. Because people often ask, what's the point if we suffer? But that's backwards. Suffering is the point of departure. And meaning is the response. Meaning is the antidote, not the escape. If you're waiting for the pain to disappear before you act, you'll never move. But if you act in spite of the pain, with your shoulders sour. But if you act in spite of the pain, with your shoulders back and your heart open, the pain starts to transform. It becomes purpose. It becomes direction. It becomes the very thing that makes life not just bearable, but noble. So when life tells you in no uncertain terms that it is hard, your task is not to pretend otherwise. It's to answer with something harder, something deeper, and that something is found in meaning, not given to you, found by you in the darkest places through effort, sacrifice, and truth. Trust. The word itself has a kind of softness to it, doesn't it? A vulnerability. And in our cynical, wounded culture, it's often treated as a weakness, a sort of naivete reserved for the simple-minded or the lucky. People say, fab, don't trust, protect yourself, keep your guard up, expect the worst and you won't be disappointed, quote out. And on the surface, that sounds like wisdom. After all, who hasn't been lied to? Who hasn't been abandoned or betrayed or laughed at for believing in something or someone too much? But here's the hard truth. Here's the hard truth. Mistrust isn't wisdom. It's a defense, a shield. And while it might keep the immediate dangers at bay, it also keeps out everything good. Joy, connection, faith, hope. All of it requires trust. And trust, when it's conscious and chosen in full awareness of life's capacity to break your heart, is not a weakness. It's courage. Shriel ang piaps friel der at copper enery mind. Ellie, think of it this way. If you've never been hurt and you trust people, that's not trust. That's ignorance. But if you've been hurt deeply, irreversibly, and you still choose to trust again, to risk again, to open yourself to life again, that is the act of someone profoundly brave. It means you've stared into the abyss and still refuse to let bitterness win. It means you're not letting your past pain dictate your future potential. This kind of trust doesn't mean being blind. It doesn't mean ignoring red flags or abandoning discernment. What it means is acting as though the world, chaotic as it is, at its hot spot, might still be fundamentally oriented toward good if you're willing to meet it halfway. And maybe even further than half. Maybe you have to step off the cliff with no visible landing in sight, trusting that your willingness to move forward will create the path beneath your feet as you go. No, that's not magical thinking. That's how human beings survive. It's how we've always survived. The earliest tribes trusted the stars to return. Farmers trusted the soil to yield. Parents trust their children will grow into better versions of themselves, despite the inevitable pain and rebellion along the way. If you wait until certainty arrives, you'll never act. If you demand absolute proof, you'll never move. And if you choose only to trust when you feel safe, you will never experience the profound transformation that comes from stepping into the unknown without a guarantee. I've seen this in therapy rooms, in university lecture halls, in veterans broken by war, and young people paralyzed by fear. They come in skeptical armored, their eyes wary, and who can blame them? But sometimes, just sometimes, you see that moment, that flicker, when they decide to trust, to speak honestly, to tell the truth about their past, to commit to a goal, to reach out to someone. It's a terrifying act, but it's also the beginning of change. Because here's the paradox. You don't build trust by waiting for trust to appear. You build it by trusting. Slowly, deliberately, and it will burn you sometimes. Of course it will. That's the cost of being alive. But the alternative is far worse. A fortress of isolation that becomes your prison. A life where nothing can reach you and nothing can move you. No joy, no love, no meaning. So, trust. Not because the world has proven itself perfect, but because you're strong enough to endure its imperfections without losing your soul. Trust as a rebellion against fear. Trust as a choice to be open in a world that tells you to shut down. Trust as an act of faith, not in blind hope, but in the idea that your willingness to engage with the unknown might just shape it into something. Align yourself with truth, and reality will unfold for you. That sounds simple, almost poetic, but it's one of the most difficult operation under parity, most dangerous and most transformative things a human being can attempt. Because truth isn't gentle, it isn't sanitized. It doesn't care about your feelings or your comfort or your current ideology. Truth is brutal. It shatters illusions. It cuts through pretension, and it demands everything from you, and yet it's the only thing worth pursuing. You see, people often try to twist the world to fit their desires. They lie to themselves and to others. They pretend things are fine when they're not. They act as though their pain doesn't matter, or as if their resentment is righteous. They cling to false narratives to protect themselves from the discomfort of being wrong. And for a while, that works. But only for a while, because lies, especially the ones you tell yourself, accumulate interest, and eventually they bury you. When you begin to align with truth, really align with it, you have to tear those lies down. And you have to look at yourself without flinching. You have to admit that you've been wrong, not just about facts, but about how you've lived, how you've treated people, how you've treated yourself. That's why most people avoid it. They sense the cost, and they're right. It's high. But here's the thing. Reality does not bend to your comfort. It doesn't care how sincerely you believe something if it's not true. And if you build your life on a foundation of distortion and deceit, you will fall. Maybe slowly. Maybe all at once. But its inevitable truth, on the other hand, grounds you. It's the only thing strong enough to support the full weight of existence. When you speak the truth, When you refuse to deceive, to manipulate, to posture, you become solid. You become someone people can rely on, someone you can rely on. And this is important. Speaking the truth doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean vomiting your opinions onto others. It means choosing your words with care. It means not saying things that make you feel weak. It means paying attention to the part of you that winces when you compromise your integrity. Every time you say something you don't believe, you feel it. Every time unusual feel infers you ever been trying a sactane. And if you ignore that feeling long enough, it erodes your soul. There's a reason ancient traditions treat truth as sacred in Christianity. Christ is the Logos, the word, the truth, incarnate. In Hinduism, Satya, truth, is a principle higher than even the gods. In every wisdom tradition, truth is not a concept. It's a path, a mode of being, a way of seeing. And those who walk it gain a kind of power that has nothing to do with status or control. It's the power of being aligned with reality itself. When you tell the truth, especially when it costs you, you become dangerous in the best possible way. You can face what others cannot. You can endure what others avoid because you're not propped up by illusion. Illusion. You're rooted in something deeper, and here's what happens when you live that way. Reality starts to respond. Not like a vending machine where you insert truth and receive rewards, but more like a dance. Doors open that you didn't know existed. People appear who are drawn to your clarity. Patterns emerge where there was once only chaos. It's not magic. It's the natural consequence of living in harmony with what is rather than what you wish it were. But you must begin with yourself. Stop saying things that make you weak. Pay attention to the lies you tell just to keep the peace. Ask, is this true? Do I believe this? And if the answer is no, stop, stand still, say nothing if you must, say nothing if you mutters. But don't say the thing that you know is false. That's where strength begins. Truth isn't a weapon to wield against others. It's a fire to hold yourself accountable. And in that fire, everything false burns away, leaving behind something rare and indestructible. You calm as you might breathe, you might be if you had the courage to become it. It's sec. Stand up, speak carefully, and walk forward in faith. These are not abstract platitudes. They are a call to arms for the individual soul. Each of these actions, standing, speaking, walking, is a deliberate act of resistance against the weight of chaos, is despair and meaninglessness that so often threatens to overwhelm us. And when taken together, they form the foundation for a life that matters. Really file, to stand up, really stand up, is to take responsibility for your existence. It means squaring your shoulders, lifting your head, and facing the unknown, not as a victim, not as someone owed something, but as a participant in the great unfolding of reality. This is not metaphorical. Posture itself reflects the spirit. When you slump, when you collapse inward, you send a message to yourself and the world that you're defeated. But when you stand, when you physically align your body towards strength and openness, you activate something ancient in yourself. Something that says, I am willing to face what must be faced. I've told Pete